Ever feel like the world is moving too fast and you're falling behind? As if, no matter how hard you try to keep control, everything slips through your fingers. That feeling of helplessness, of living putting out fires while the internal chaos only grows. It's more common than it seems. And no, that doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're struggling with the wrong tools. The truth is that life will not slow down for you to get organized. It requires clarity, discipline, and mental strength. And this is where a philosophy comes in that, although ancient, is more current than ever: Stoicism. No beautiful phrases on social networks, we are talking about a real transformation, from the inside out. In this content, you will learn about 9 Stoic principles that can make you unshakable, even in the midst of chaos. It's not about ignoring your feelings, but about learning to master them. And in the end, you will understand that what seemed out of control, it may just be the starting point for your biggest turnaround. Then take a deep breath. Because if you've made it this far, maybe this isn't just another reading, maybe it's the call you needed to hear. Have you ever had the feeling that you are trying your best and, even so, nothing goes out of place? As if each step costs a world, yet progress is invisible. This feeling erodes motivation, undermines self-esteem, and whispers that maybe you're not good enough. But calm down, the problem is not always in your ability. Sometimes, it is in the way you see your own effort. The mistake is in thinking that just trying hard is enough to win. Today's world glorifies tiredness. Sleeping little has become a status. Always being busy is a sign of success. But this disorganized effort, with no clear direction, is just a race in circles. And the more you run, the more you seem to be stuck in the same spot. What is missing is not more strength, it is strategy. What is lacking is not intensity, it is intention. Breaking this cycle starts with a change in mindset. It is to get out of autopilot and start acting consciously. Instead of asking how much more can I take it, the Stoic asks what really needs to be done now. That the difference is in the quality of the action, not just in the amount of sweat shed. That without clarity of purpose, effort becomes sacrifice without reward. That if you find yourself stuck in this spiral of burnout, you may be trying to win a war without a map. It's time to stop, breathe, and reevaluate the path. Because persistence without direction only prolongs fatigue. And this is precisely the invitation of the next step to discover how an ancient philosophy can be the key to unlocking your true potential. When everything seems out of control, what's left? For the Stoics, the most important thing remains yourself. Stoic philosophy isn't a set of pretty phrases to post on Instagram, it's a sharp sword, forged in adversity, ready to cut through all that is useless. It invites you to stop looking outside for what can only be found within. Freedom is not the absence of problems, it is mastery over your answers. Imagine facing a difficult day and, instead of being overwhelmed by frustration, you simply answers clearly. No drama, no explosions, no getting lost in the chaos. This is not coldness, it is emotional maturity. It's knowing that you don't have to react to everything, that not everything deserves your energy. Stoicism gives you that control. He doesn't put out fires, but he teaches you not to get burned. The great names of this philosophy, such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, faced wars, exiles, losses, and betrayals. And yet, they wrote about serenity, focus, and purpose. They understood that the mind can be a temple or a prison and the choice is yours. Stoicism doesn't promise a pain-free life, but it does guarantee that you'll learn to use it as fuel. From here, the question stops being why is this happening to me, and becomes what can I do with it now? It is this turn that begins to shape a new kind of force. At the next point, you'll see that this inner power really starts to grow when discipline comes into play. And no, it doesn't need motivation to work. There is a myth that needs to be broken, that living with purpose depends on feeling inspired all the time. The reality is different. Purpose is not born of motivation, it is born of discipline. It is what lifts you up on dull days, who keeps you steady when everything seems to fall apart. Discipline is the soil where clarity flourishes. Without it, any goal becomes just a beautiful idea thrown to the wind. Think about how many promises you've made to yourself in moments of excitement. Monday it'll start, this time it will, now it's serious. But motivation evaporates, and with it, its constancy. This is where discipline comes in as a quiet but firm commitment. A pact with yourself that you will continue even if you don't feel like it. That transforms. Great achievements are not born of flashes of enthusiasm, but of consistent actions. That workout done when you wanted to sleep. The reading you kept when fatigue screamed. The difficult choice made by who you want to become. Each of these attitudes builds not only results, it builds identity. And who knows who it is, doesn't get lost in the distractions along the way. So, if you want more clarity about your life, start with routine. Simple as that. Discipline organizes mental chaos, silences noise, and makes room to listen to what really matters. In the next topic, we will talk about where to focus this discipline on the elements that are, in fact, under your control. Have you ever wasted hours worrying about things that were completely out of your reach? Bad news, other people's opinions, unforeseen events in life. All of this consumes energy, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Stoicism teaches a simple yet powerful lesson: there is a clear line between what is yours and what is not. Knowing where that line is changes everything. Your thoughts, your actions, your attitudes, that's yours. The traffic, the weather, the behavior of others, that's not. And as obvious as it may seem, we keep confusing these spheres all the time. When you get emotionally involved with what you can't control, you end up hostage to a roller coaster that never stops. Your peace starts to depend on external factors, and this is a recipe for constant frustration. Focusing on what you control is like shielding your mind. You can't prevent it from raining, but you can choose whether to complain or take the umbrella. You can't stop criticism, but you can decide if it will define you. This awareness brings lightness. Suddenly, the world doesn't need to change for you to feel good. Just change your focus. And when you internalize this idea, you begin to regain what really matters: your power of action. Because everything that is under your control is also your responsibility. And that's where a new force is born: a silent, practical, unbeatable force. In the next point, let's talk about one of the main ingredients of this strength: discomfort. And why you should seek it and not run away from it. Comfort may seem like a premium, but it's often a trap in disguise. That only today that becomes routine. The "it's good like this" that turns into stagnation. When everything is easy, you relax, and when you relax too much, you stop growing. Stoicism nudges you with a hard truth: evolution dwells in discomfort. Whoever runs away from pain, runs away from greatness itself. Pain is not the villain of the story. She is the personal trainer of the soul. Every challenge that bothers you is shaping you from the inside. Think of a muscle that only grows when it faces resistance. The mind is the same. Intentionally challenging yourself, getting up early, finishing what you start, facing difficult conversations, all of these strengthen your inner structure. And structure is what sustains you when the world swings. Of course, the discomfort is scary. But he also reveals. When you put yourself out of your comfort zone, you find out what you're made of. He discovers that he achieves more than he imagined. That courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting in spite of it. So start small. Choose one discomfort per day. A task that you have been avoiding. A habit that demands more from you. That already changes everything. Gradually, you will understand that discomfort is not a punishment, it is an invitation to transformation. It is in this difficult terrain that true mental strength is forged. And in the next step, you will see how self-discipline comes into play as an indispensable ally in this process of daily growth and resistance. Self-discipline isn't about being rigid or becoming an emotionless robot. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It is to understand that constancy surpasses intensity. A steady step every day builds more than a disorderly race fueled by excitement. Self-discipline is the silent fuel of those who go far. And do you know what the secret is? It's not starting giant, it's being small, but unbeatable. It is to create a solid routine with simple and repeated actions. Waking up at the same time, keeping your diet aligned, setting aside 10 minutes a day to reflect or meditate. Things that seem simple, but that, when accumulated, form the basis of a solid and powerful life. Each conscious choice strengthens your identity. When you choose the difficult today, you are making tomorrow easier. It's like climbing a ladder rung by rung, steadily. If it depends on motivation, you will stumble at the first difficulties. But when discipline comes into play, you continue even in fatigue, in doubt, in pain. And that's where something rare is built: self-confidence. Daily discipline is a form of self-love. It's you saying, "My future is worth today's effort." And the more you practice, the easier it gets. In the next point, let's talk about something that goes hand in hand with this inner strength: acceptance. Because understanding what you can't change is just as essential as acting on what you can. Fighting against what cannot be changed is like punching the wind; it only tires and frustrates. And yet, how many times do we insist? We brood over something that has already happened, we want to control people, we want to change the past. But Stoicism reminds us true strength is not in resisting the uncontrollable, but in accepting it wisely. Acceptance is not surrender, it is strategy. When you accept it, you're not saying "that's right, but this is what it is, and now, what do I do with it?" This question changes everything. The energy previously spent in revolt is redirected to intelligent action. You move out of reactive mode and into proactive mode. This liberates. Because acceptance dissolves the weight of what is inevitable and gives you back the focus on what is possible. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle is the way." This means that what you wanted to avoid may be just what will shape you. Instead of running away from pain or error, you face it head-on, learn and evolve. This posture is not passive, it is resilient. It's looking reality in the eye and saying, "I'm going to grow with this, and not in spite of it." Accepting what cannot be changed is like dropping a heavy suitcase that you have been carrying for nothing. Suddenly, you walk lighter, faster, more clearly. And speaking of clarity, this is precisely what we will delve into in the next point. Because there is a powerful practice that helps you organize your mind and achieve peace in the midst of chaos: meditation. Meditation is not sitting in the lotus position and waiting for problems to go away. It is, in fact, an exercise in confrontation. It is you, alone with your thoughts, learning to observe them without getting carried away by them. At first, it seems useless. But over time, you realize chaos exists outside, but it doesn't have to exist inside you. This practice becomes an invisible shield. The human mind is noisy. Random thoughts, worries, memories, it all gets mixed up and takes the focus away from what really matters. Meditation is the moment when you silence the confusion to listen to the essential. It doesn't have to be mystical or time-consuming. You can start with 5 minutes a day. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, observe your breathing. Simple, affordable, transformative. Over time, this mental training changes your reaction pattern. That automatic irritation turns into a conscious sigh. The impulse to speak becomes a pause. You start responding instead of just reacting. And that is power. Because whoever dominates his own thoughts, dominates his own attitudes. Inner peace is not the absence of war, it is the presence of consciousness. And when the mind finds that state of clarity, it becomes easier to perceive what really has value. In the next point, let's talk about just that: living according to your values. Because true peace is also born when you align your actions with what you really believe in. You know that inner discomfort that appears when you do something just to please others? Or when you say yes meaning no. That's your value system trying to remind you of who you are. Living disconnected from your principles creates a crack in the soul and through it escapes your peace. Stoicism teaches that integrity is not a luxury, it is emotional survival. Values are like an internal GPS. When you act in disagreement with them, you lose yourself. But when your attitudes reflect what you believe in, everything takes on another meaning. You feel proud of what you do. He sleeps in peace. And even if no one applauds, you know you're on the right track. That alignment creates strength, and a strength that no one can take away. Identifying your values takes courage. It requires saying this is important to me even if the world thinks differently. But believe me, living trying to please everyone is the perfect recipe for pleasing no one, not even yourself. When you position yourself authentically, you attract people and opportunities that resonate with your truth. And that is liberating. And if you want to live with purpose, this is the first step: align with your essence. Because there is no point in seeking great meaning in life if, in small choices, you are betraying yourself. In the next point, we will talk about how to put this alignment into practice daily, focusing on the only time you really have, the now. Have you ever noticed how the mind loves to escape from the now? Or we are stuck in what has passed, mulling over mistakes and regrets. Or we are anxious about what has not even happened yet. Result: we lose the only time that really exists, the present. The Stoics knew this. They remind us that the now is all we have. And it is in it that life really happens. When you connect with the present moment, everything changes. Eating is no longer automatic, walking becomes meditation, and even a simple conversation becomes profound. It is as if the world slowed down. As if, suddenly, you could breathe better, feel more, live more. Being present is a superpower disguised as simplicity. Few use it, but everyone needs it. Practices such as conscious breathing, sensory anchoring, and even daily notes help to strengthen this presence. A practical example. Before bed, write down 3 times when you were 100% present in the day. It can be a coffee, a look, a break. This trains your mind to return to the now. And when it comes back, you take back control. Focusing on the present is building the future one gesture at a time. It's like erecting a building brick by brick, day after day. And the more you dedicate yourself to the moment, the more solid it becomes. In the next point, we will see how this dedication also applies to pain, difficulties, and how they can be great allies in building your resilience. Nobody likes pain, that's natural. But pain has a role that few recognize. It reveals what is strongest in us. Adversity is a hard but fair teacher. It takes off the masks, breaks down the illusions, and shows you who you really are. The Stoics knew it's not the problem that defines you, but how you respond to it. Each challenge is a chance in disguise. That unexpected dismissal, the painful rejection, the plan that didn't go as expected. All of this can be a brick for its reconstruction. It is in the fall that you learn to lift more firmly. Pain thins the soul. It makes you see more clearly. And when you go through it with courage, you come out on the other side transformed. Resilience is not being born strong, it is becoming strong. And that takes practice. It requires looking at the difficult situation and asking, what can I learn here? Or how can this strengthen me? It's not about romanticizing suffering, but about using it to your advantage. Because when you understand that pain also has a purpose, it stops paralyzing you and starts driving you. Every scar you carry can be a reminder of pain. Or a symbol of victory. The choice is yours. In the next point, let's talk about the power that is born when you stop outsourcing your life and courageously take full responsibility for everything you live. There comes a time when you can no longer point the finger. Neither for the past, nor for people, nor for circumstances. Life changes even when you change, and that's the good news. Taking full responsibility is an act of courage. It is to leave the position of victim and enter the role of protagonist of your own story. Of course, it's easier to blame the boss, the difficult childhood, the economy, the weather, the horoscope. But while you outsource blame, you also outsource power. Stoicism teaches that control begins when you accept, I am responsible for the choices I make with what I have now. And this posture, although uncomfortable at first, is liberating in the long run. It's not about denying the obstacles, it's about deciding what to do with them. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, I am where I am because of my actions and I can choose differently starting today. This mindset is a game changer. Because when you understand that the next step depends on you, the future is no longer a fluke and becomes a construction. Life does not wait for those who live on excuses. But it rewards those who decide to act. And if you've made it this far, you're probably tired of repeating patterns that don't work. Then take a deep breath, lift your head, and consciously choose what comes next. Because responsibility doesn't weigh, it empowers. So tell me, how many of these principles do you already live and how many are you still postponing? The truth is that knowing doesn't change anything. Applying is what transforms. Life will not stop to wait for you, but it always rewards those who choose to act. Each of these Stoic points you've learned about here can be the beginning of a new version of yourself, stronger, more conscious, more unshakable. You don't have to do it all at once. Start with a change, a habit, a different decision. And notice how the world around you begins to respond to your new posture. Your mind can be your biggest enemy, or your greatest ally. The choice is in your hands. So now I ask you, will you continue to wait for the chaos to pass, or will you learn to weather the storm firmly? Will you continue to live in reactive mode, or take control of yourself once and for all? The answer you give with your attitudes in the coming days will define the course of your journey. If this message made sense to you, if it touched a point that was dormant inside, then subscribe to the channel, activate the bell and follow the next content. Because this isn't just a passing motivation, it's a call for real transformation. And it starts now.